This is The Path to Growth, where business owners get real strategies for digital success. Hey guys, on this episode of the podcast, I'm going to be walking you through a real life scenario involving artificial intelligence, a real AI agent that is able to update your website using another source of information so that you don't have to do work twice. So the first step in figuring out how to do this is you need one spot where you update or add events regarding your business. That could be something like Facebook. That's a popular place to update events. It could be a spreadsheet. It could be just one spot. The whole point is to have one spot where you're doing this so that you don't have to do work twice. And you're saving an employee from having to do this. That's the whole point of AI, is to allow you to save an employee from doing something that's a tedious task so that that employee can now do something else, something more important, something that adds more value to your business. Not saying that what this task is not valuable to your business. The work isn't valuable. The task is, but the actual work involved isn't bringing any value to your business if an employee has to still manually do the labor. So how would you do this? So what you would do essentially, because I'm not going to be talking about the technical involvement. If you're a small business owner who's listening to this, you're not going to be doing the technical aspect of it. You would probably either hire someone or an agency to do that portion of it. But to give you an overview, something that you could say, oh, wait a second, I have 3 examples that I could do with this. To give you an overview of what that is, basically what would happen is there would be an AI agent, right? Let's just call him Event Updater. And what would happen is that you would engineer a prompt to tell that guy, okay, listen, here are the tools at your disposal. Here's a toolbox, okay? One of the tools in your toolbox is an Excel spreadsheet. Another tool in your toolbox is the back end to my website with a calendar. And now your prompt would say something like, every day you would have this run. Not really every day. You'd probably do it every week, because you have to remember, when it comes to AI, yes, it's going to save you money, but you're also going to this is an investment. You need to understand that AI is an investment. It's not going to be free. So you might as well get that out of your head. You need to pay for tokens. They will be substantially cheaper than paying an employee. If you have a $30,000 a year employee that's doing this task, it's probably going to cost you maybe $5,000 to actually do the task. So, you have to keep in mind, this is not free. You're investing in a very, very cheap employee in your company when you utilize AI. As long as you could remember that, then you can succeed in this, because you're going to look for all the shortcuts. You're going to try to figure out, how can I do this the cheapest way possible? Well, this is it. AI is your cheap employee. That's what you can call them. So say, for instance, you have this cheap employee. Every time you run this application, what's going to happen is you're going to use tokens. So that's why you'd want to do this maybe once every week or once every month, depending on your business. It depends on how often do you add events to your business, right? So basically, what you're going to do is you're going to tell this agent, you're going to give him instructions. You're going to say, hey, Event Updater, you're going to, step 1, you're going to check your Google spreadsheet or your Excel spreadsheet. Step 2, you are then going to get a list of events that are on our website already. Step 3, you're going to now compare that list, and you're going to find discrepancies. If there are events missing from the website, make a new list for yourself of those events. And then lastly, step 4 is update my website with the new events. Now that sounds really easy, and that's how easy it is to create one of these. The technical aspect obviously isn't there. So you need someone to engineer this. You need someone to build out, how is it going to get the events from your spreadsheet? How is it going to get the events from Facebook? How is it going to get the events from wherever you can make a list inside of a text file? It doesn't matter. As long as you give the AI agent instructions, it will now do that thing. You have to have a good model too. You can't choose some open source model that you have no idea what it does. And for those business owners that are listening, a model is the actual thing. It's the file, okay, that will be doing all of this work for you. So, ChatGPT isn't the model. ChatGPT is an application. The model is GPT-3 or GPT-5. That's called a model. Now, models like that are, hundreds of gigabytes or hundreds of terabytes large because it is an extraordinary model. There are ways that you could utilize those models without needing, that actual file, obviously. So that's something we do is, we use endpoints to get that information. But once you have the model, it needs to be smart enough. It needs to be something that, can put two and two together and has, common sense when you talk to it, and it needs to figure out okay, if the event is next week and the title is not matching exactly with what's in the spreadsheet, but it kind of has the same similar, it's the same band name or the same, holiday event or something, then I should update that. I should add that to the website. The model needs to be smart enough to be able to do that, to have that sort of common sense and think for you. Otherwise, what's the point? You might as well just do it yourself. It'll be faster. So you just have to be careful, and you have to make sure that you have the right prompts in there so that you're instructing the model. Again, I don't know if you've seen any of my other videos, but you have to speak to these models and these AI agents just like you would an employee. Okay, if you want it to make sure that something gets done, tell it. You can't just assume that it's going to know what to do. You have to make sure you say, yeah, you know what? And don't add any past events to the website. That might seem like common sense, but not to a computer. To a computer, it's going to do exactly what it's told. So if you're telling it to add all the events that don't exist to my website, it's going to add events from 2 years ago if they're in that spreadsheet. You have to make sure you're instructing. That's why prompt engineering is so important. And, for business owners, a prompt is what are you telling the AI agent to do? That's a prompt. There's different types of prompts. There's system prompts, there's user prompts, but basically, in a nutshell, the prompt is the most important thing you're going to tell you. You can have the greatest AI agent in the world that can do everything. But if your prompt says speak like a pirate and don't do anything else, it's not going to do anything else but speak like a pirate back to you, because that's what you're instructing it to do. So you have to be extremely careful about your prompt. A great prompt could make even the crappiest AI agent work better than the best AI agent in the world that has a crappy prompt. So you need to really think about your prompt. And then once you have your prompt, you're pretty much good to go. I mean, you just need to connect your data sources. So, that aspect of it obviously is a little more technical. That's not really something that I expect business owners to be able to build. But what I do want you to think about is, I want you to go back to your desk and really open up a notebook and really think about what's happening right now in my business that I can automate. What is something that Tyler is doing in the basement right now that he doesn't have to do? Non-physical labor. Is he checking inventory and putting it into a spreadsheet? And then when he's done with that, he's summarizing that for me, or he's placing orders through an email you know, what is something that someone in my business doesn't need to do every day that I could automate? That's what you could utilize AI for. And it could be something as simple as what I just explained. It could be a kid checking inventory, sending you an email every day. Maybe it takes him an hour. He still has to do the physical labor, of course. No one's saying you're not going to have to do physical labor. But now when all that information is typed through in a spreadsheet, now he has to do even more work and sit down and actually summarize that for you, or let you know what needs to be ordered, or email vendors. I know that sounds scary, but when these models are good enough, it could even send you a draft. This way, spot check it. No one is saying that you're going to give your AI the keys to your business. Like right now, I literally have something set up right now that we use that updates something on our website, and it doesn't publish it. It puts it in a draft. The reason why I do that is because that's on purpose, because what that's doing now is it's giving me the opportunity to check this. And me checking it, I'm now doing, 1/10 the amount of work that I had to do manually. I'm still putting in a little bit of work, yes, but that's worth it because now it's saving me, 90% of the work that I had to do anyway. So what's the difference? If this is going to save you time, it might as well save you even a little bit of time compared to you having to fully do all of the work. This is going to get you, take baby steps. AI, if you come up with a solution for AI to take you 90% to where you need to be, so that all you need to do is look it over and say, you did a great job. Nice job, AI agent. Then that's worth it to me. Is that worth it to you? Or if you're able to get 90% of your time back, is that worth it? That's what you need to figure out. Because if it's worth it, then you really need to start utilizing AI in your business. Another aspect of AI that people kind of get lost with is, well, how much is this going to really cost me? And where is this going to exist? Where is this going to live? Is this going to live on my laptop? Is this going to live on a computer somewhere? That's a great question, because that's a very fair question to ask. Like I said in the beginning, this will cost you the equivalent of, maybe a really, really junior employee, maybe someone who, just think about you're hiring a seasonal kid, some kid to stock the shelves during Christmas time, or summer help. What would you pay summer help or someone seasonal only working there for a couple of months? That's what you would pay AI. And that's for the whole year. So you have to think about it like that. And where would this live? This is going to live in some infrastructure somewhere up in the cloud. The cloud. No one really knows what the cloud is, but the cloud is just a big computer somewhere, at Amazon or Google or Microsoft, whatever cloud solution. That's where it's going to live. And that's it. You never have to worry about it because it's always there. That's kind of what it is. It's not going to live on your laptop. You need this. You have to understand, even non-technical people can relate to this. It needs to be something that's on. If you go to heat up a bowl of soup at a microwave, but it's not plugged into the wall, it's not going to turn on, right? So that's a computer. If it's not on all the time, if your laptop lid is shut, it's not running. I know all the technical guys out there, you could still run things when your laptop lid is shut. That's not what I mean. What I mean is it needs to be a computer that's powered on at all times, plugged in, the screen is on, you can see it. This is where your AI needs to live, because it needs to automatically run. If you're still going to go there and hit a button, that's not automatic. So, but that's really it. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. Is AI doesn't have to be complicated for small businesses. I'm talking about small businesses that can have, even 5 people working in your grocery store, or a couple of guys working in a coffee shop. AI could be set up anywhere. You do not need to be an enterprise in order to use AI. I have set up AI solutions myself, and I'm obviously an IT person, but the services that we provide are meant for small businesses, all the way up to enterprises. So I know the cost of things. I know what it costs to build things like this. So I'm telling you, AI is just as much for small business as it is for enterprise. And actually, I think AI is even more needed in small business than it is in enterprise, because when you're a big enterprise, you have the people to do the work. Small businesses do not have the people to do the work that's involved to run a business. They either barely do, or they overwork themselves working 70, 80, 90 hours a week just to do something simple. And it's not fair to you as the business owner. You should be able to run your business, have a real balance in your work life. And you should have stuff like this. AI agents are going to allow you to live that way. It's actually, an AI agent is freedom for you, because it's going to free you up so that instead of staying an extra hour or two to do something, you can now go home for the day and spend it with your family. And the AI agent will do it for you, and it'll email you in the morning while you're sipping your coffee. It's going to say, "Good morning, Joe. Here's the inventory from yesterday. I really think we should, reach out to such and such because the inventory seems to be a little backlogged the past few weeks." It's going to start doing work for you, and you're not going to know it until the work is done. That's the beauty of AI agents. So if you like this episode, feel free to reach out, info@rjmediastudios.com, and let me know your feedback. And till next time.